If I could just make more money, this would all be fine. That's the thought sometimes, isn't it? That somewhere out there's a new deal, a paycheck, a raise, or a promotion that's gonna come in and solve all of your money stresses. So we start to convince ourselves that my problem is I just simply don't make enough. Or if my paycheck was bigger, the stress, the chaos, and the feeling of never getting ahead would just all resolve on its own. So there's no real reason for me to actually look at how I manage what I already have. The fix is just to earn more. And I completely understand why we think this way sometimes, and it's honestly not irrational to think this way. More income does solve real problems, and if you're not making enough to make ends meet, a raise can genuinely help. And even if you are making enough to make ends meet, an extra lump sum of cash can help you solve some immediate problems, make some immediate stresses go away. And so because of this, somewhere along the way, we realize that all money problems are just simply solved by more money. But you most likely are not in that situation anymore. You probably are earning enough to make ends meet. You probably are earning a good living, but the tension and the stress still remains the same from when you were making less in your past situations. So think about it this way. If you have holes in a bucket, the solution isn't pouring more water into the bucket, it's fixing the holes. So whether we realize it or not, what's actually probably going on here underneath all of this is that blaming the number is just simply easier. Because we want that to be true, that the problem is just that we don't make enough, because there's nothing really uncomfortable about that, because we're blaming a circumstance. We're swapping what's actually a character flaw for a circumstantial issue. We're saying the circumstance of the income is the issue to really hide and avoid from addressing what's really happening, which is our habits, which is a character flaw oftentimes. Most times, most money mistakes, it's just our character reflecting through those actions. And so it's a lot easier to address, oh, I just need to go make more money, or blame that, than it is to actually address the real problem. So you probably could have guessed this by now, but what I'm getting at here is the breakthrough isn't a bigger paycheck. More money may solve an immediate need, but it's not gonna solve the reason why you keep making the same mistakes over and over, despite how much money you're making. The reason for the struggle is it's habits, not income. More money without addressing those habits does not fix anything. It just gives the same patterns more room to repeat, but just at a bigger scale. So think about that analogy that I used with the bucket before, but think about it this way now. A bigger bucket with the same holes doesn't solve any problems, it just leaks faster. Or think about this analogy for anybody that works out. You've been working out for a few months without results. The answer usually isn't to lift heavier weights, it's to get more consistent and clean up the form on what you're already doing. More weights without fixing the consistency or the form doesn't build anything. It usually just leads to injury. Same here. More income without fixing the habits and the consistency underneath it doesn't build the financial life you want. It just adds more strain to the same broken pattern. And so between the bucket analogy and the fitness analogy, those are two just great examples to show what's actually happening here. How do you actually fix this? What is the real problem despite what we keep telling ourselves? How to actually fix this is a 3-step process, right? We need a mission for your money, then a system to measure it, and then 3, we need to put in real work into the habits that are actually holding you back. And so when it starts with a mission for your money, we want to have a mission for your money, so when you earn money, it doesn't just come into the account and get spent erroneously. It's already allocated towards goals that are in your best interest, whether that be paying off debt, building an emergency fund, buying a house, investing in the stock market, investing into your business, whatever that may be. That's a mission for your money, where we come up with custom goals for your unique situation, where your money, your leftover money each month, is already allocated towards that. And people are going to hear this, well, I don't have any leftover money. We're getting to that. That is usually subjective. While things may be tight on the right system, which we'll get to here shortly, you should have leftover money. But first and foremost, we have to put a mission to your money, which is what 3 goals make most sense for you. That's the immediate vision, the immediate allocation of your funds to enhance the probability of you actually making good money and seeing it through progress in these financial goals that make most sense for you. And then the other side of it is having a big vision. What does your life look like on the other side of financial stress? Not just this vague picture of, oh, I'd be less stressed, I'd be happier, I'd be more present. Like, no, like, what does a random Tuesday afternoon look like? What is Sunday afternoon like? What does the holiday season actually feel like? What does it feel like to, wake up early on a Saturday with a cup of coffee in quiet, where you can spend some time with the Lord, and it's not just you constantly bringing him financial stresses and emergencies, though he'll take those, though he, bring those every single day if that's what you have. But imagine a relationship with the Lord, or a Saturday morning with a cup of coffee, moving slow, not worrying about money. Imagine football Sunday as we're coming up here on football season, where you're just sitting there hanging out with the family, being present, loving their company, loving the game that's on, the fall weather that's coming through the windows, without having to worry about Monday because it's back to the financial realities and stresses that you've been running from or dealing with for a while now. Like, those are just descriptive examples of what would your life actually look like. Would you be present at the dinner table tonight? Would you play with your kids after? Would you actually be able to look at your spouse in the eye across the dinner table and not be calculating bills and how you're going to make it work this month and next month? Like, be specific with that. That's a mission for your money outside of the immediate goals. What's the big vision? What does your life look like on the other side of financial stress? What does financial freedom actually look like for you and your family? That's step one. All right, then we move into step two. We need to build a system to measure your money because you can't improve what you're not tracking. So we need a system to actually be able to track your money. What's coming in? What are we spending that money on? What are we allocating the leftover money towards? And again, that leftover money phrase, which is what I brought up earlier, a lot of times people are like, I'm not making enough right now to actually be able to budget, right? I'm not making enough right now to actually be able to save some money. I'm not making enough to go towards X, Y, and Z goal. And while I understand things can be tight sometimes, most times that feeling is coming from subjectivity. Most people saying that are not measuring their money. They're just going off of emotions or subjectivity, which they might have some decent back of the envelope math going on when it comes to understanding their finances, what's coming in, what's going out, right? But if you're not actually tracking that to a serious detail, you're not going to actually truthfully know the truth of that situation, right? Is it actually truthful that you don't have any money left over, or you just have a bucket with holes in it? And also a system that's not even measuring money, giving us factual information behind that statement. So think about it this way, right? Having money left over, quote unquote, right? Making more money, having money left over to go towards goals and or savings or whatever that may be, to avoid the excuse of I just need to make more money, to then it'll make sense to start budgeting, or then it'll make sense to start putting money towards goals or savings, right? Like, those are goals, putting money towards goal, like savings, investing, paying off debt, right? Just building margin and peace in your life. So think about it this way with the fitness industry. Again, if I had fitness goals of losing 20 pounds or building six-pack abs, and I wasn't following a diet plan or a workout plan, AKA on a system to help me take daily actions to achieve those goals, basically, if I wasn't achieving those goals and I wasn't following a diet and a workout plan, I wouldn't be very confused on why those goals weren't happening. Right? I would want to follow a diet plan or a workout plan, a system to help me achieve those goals. And so same thing with your finances. Waiting until you make more money and or thinking that you have enough money to budget and or put a measurement system around is silly, right? It's the step that needs to come first. And so that's the second thing here, is a system, right? That gives you objectivity. It allows you to measure your money. Majority of times, people say they don't have enough money or they have stress and anxiety around money. It's due to a lack of clarity, right? We can solve that by implementing a system that just gives us simple clarity on what's actually going on with your financial situation, which will massively decrease your stress and anxiety and increase the opportunities that you have because it's giving you factual, objective information for us to operate off of. And then after that, step 3 here is we need to put in real work to addressing the habits that are holding you back. The ones that would still be there even if your income doubled tomorrow, like avoiding looking at your numbers, impulse spending when you're stressed, or impulse spending like I struggle with when you have a good month and make extra money, lifestyle creep every time the income goes up. You make more, you spend more, and you're at the same exact problems that you had in the past, or just letting small purchases go untracked. Those things add up. Maybe you struggle with some of these, all of these are different ones that I didn't name, but we need to put real work into addressing these habits and by actually calling them out as the problem instead of just saying that I just need to make more money. We have to call these out as a problem in a judgment-free, shame-free zone. And I'm a big proponent for that. It's a big thing that we are known for inside the Good Steward program, because I always say I've made all these mistakes before, right? I'm still not perfect. I'm still stumbling my way to Jesus and my faith walk in totality, but specifically my financial freedom walk when it comes to stewarding the resources that he's entrusted me with. That's a big part of this process. And so step 1, a mission for your money. Step 2, simple systems to measure your money. And step 3, start addressing the habits that are actually holding you back that would still be there whether you made more money or not. And so whether your income grows or stays exactly the same, what you already have finally works for you instead of quietly leaking away when you go about the solution this way instead of just thinking the solution is making more money. And so this reminds me of a lot of clients that we've worked with. We'd work with a decent amount of high earners. We work with a lot of business owners, not a requirement to work with us, but it just happens to be a trend that we see. And there's a lot of times people are coming in and they'll be making a whole bunch of money, like $25,000 a month, but nothing to show for it. And after they dial in these things that I'm talking about, a mission for their money, some simple systems to measure their money, and ultimately addressing the habits that are the real problem here, their income could not change. And sometimes I've even seen it where their income has dropped, but they're still making more financial progress. They're still seeing more money left over at the end of each month. They're still building an emergency fund faster, paying off debt faster, or whatever other goals that they had faster, even at a lesser income sometimes. And what's the difference there? They actually implemented this solution instead of just thinking that, hey, I have this bucket with holes in it, let me just go pour some more water in it and not fix the holes. I just encourage anybody listening to this to follow that same pathway. And here's a piece of scripture to help encourage that. All right, we're going to talk about, the parable of the talents, but specifically call out one verse in the parable of the talents in Matthew chapter 25, verse 21, where Jesus is telling this story about the master giving feedback to his servants based on how they acted with what they were entrusted with. And he says to them, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Share your master's joy." You are faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. And so notice what earns the servant more responsibility here. It's not the amount he started with. It's how faithfully he handled it. And that's the exact correction this belief that we're talking about here today needs. The belief of, I just got to make more money and all my problems will go away. I think we're starting to realize that that's not true. We probably realized that a little bit even before this, but just trying to bring some truth and some light to this, particularly through this scripture. And so as you can see, being trusted with more was never about the number you're starting with, right? It's about what you do with what's already in your hands. And I tell people all the time, the financial breakthrough that you're praying for is not on the other side of a raise or a promotion or a new deal. It's on the other side of you being the best steward possible of what you've already been entrusted with. And there's so much scripture to back it, specifically that one in Matthew in the parable of the talents. And so if this is hitting home to you, this is sounding like you, the number was never the real problem. And I think a part of you knew that before coming into this video, but I hope you're fully seeing that now. And so what you need is a mission for your money, a system to measure it, and real work on the habits holding you back. And that's what actually creates real change in your finances, no matter how much money you're making. And that's exactly what we walk people through inside the Good Steward program. It is, by the grace of God and the mercy of God, it's an extremely successful program. And I think for a lot of reasons, all the glory to the Lord, but a big reason being we help with exactly what I just talked about here today. And then we have a quote at JFF where more money is not the solution, ... until it is. Right? We're not against you making more money. It's just got to make sense. And there's a reason why it's step 3 in our 4-step process for financial freedom. But all of these things we talked about here today have got to come before that, because if not, you're just pouring more water into a bucket that has a whole bunch of holes in it. And so click the link in the show description of this video to book your financial clarity call. We will talk to you plainly about what the Good Steward program entails, if it's a good fit for you, and I promise you we have your best interest in mind. And so if it is, we'll talk to you about what that looks like to move forward. If not, you'll still leave with something very real and valuable, and that's our free biblical finance course. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I really look forward to seeing some of you all on that financial clarity call, and we'll see you in the next video.